In this video, I am going to rank every single Fortnite season from worst to best. Now, I won't spend too long on each season or go over everything that happened because if I did, this video would be over an hour long. But regardless, if you go on to enjoy this video, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 3,000 subscribers before 2026 and it would mean a lot. And with that being said, let's get right into it. The worst season in Fortnite history, all the way at the bottom at number 38. I don't think that's going to be a surprise to anybody. It is going to be Chapter 2, Season 6. I mean, this is the only season where I actually just face palm whenever I think back on it and be like, what were they thinking when they were making this season, right? We had crafting, probably like one of the worst features ever. It got removed one season later. The makeshift weapons were also really bad. The primal shotgun just dominated the meta. The wildlife was extremely annoying. POIs sucked. Literally nothing good about this season. I have no words to say about the season other than it just sucked. Coming in at number 37, we have Chapter 6 Galactic Battle. Now this one's a bit controversial. I know a lot of people will probably disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, this is like one of the worst seasons of all time. I don't think it's as bad as Chapter 2 Season 6 Primal, but it's definitely the second worst season of all time in my opinion. And when people say they love this season, I don't really get the hype for it. Like, sure, if you love the season, go at it, right? I'm not gonna disagree with your opinion. I think your opinion's awesome, in fact, but in my opinion, I just did not have a lot of fun with this season. The only thing that caught my attention during this entire season was the Darth Vader AI, because I'm not even gonna lie, that was kind of sick. But aside from that, the blaster weapons, the POIs kind of sucked, and I don't really want to ever see a Star Wars season ever again because of this season right here. Now, coming in at number 36, we have Season X. And I'm not even gonna lie, this season actually did have some good things at the very least. In my opinion, I thought this season had a really good battle pass. I thought all the skins were pretty solid. Gotham City, Tilted Town, just incredible POIs on their own. And I thought Season X also held the best live event in Fortnite history, that being the end event, and that's about where all the good things end. First off, let's get out the way. The Rift Zones I was not a big fan of. I thought Pandora was like the only one that I actually liked, but apart from that, the Rift Zones were all so poorly made. And of course, we can't forget the mechs. Like, they were the staple of the season, and they absolutely demolished the season. They destroyed the meta. If you had a mech, you were almost guaranteed to win that game. They were so incredibly powerful that if you were not there in Season X, it is quite literally impossible for me to even begin to describe just how game-breaking they actually were. But yeah, overall, I do think Season X is deserving at number 36. Coming in at number 35, we have Chapter 1 Season 1, the first ever season of Fortnite, and I won't be too harsh on it because it was the beginning, they didn't really know what they were doing yet, but I'm not going to sit here and just like say, oh, it's OG, it must be really good. No, it was not very good. I think the OG game mode that came out made us realize that this season was really bad. Coming in at number 34, we have Chapter 1 Season 1. Now, in my opinion, I think this is the most boring season of all time. And you might be saying, why? The loophole is very simple. We had a whole new season, whole new chapter. And yeah, it was pretty cool for like a week or so, but after the first week or maybe 2 weeks, I just got really tired of the season. We had only one update during the entire season, and this season lasted 1/3 of an entire year. That's the longest season in Fortnite history by a long shot. And you know what that one update they added was? A harpoon gun. 1/3 of an entire year, and all they added was a harpoon gun. I'm sorry, I cannot justify that at all. Coming at number 33, we have Chapter 3 Season 4. Now, in my opinion, I really did not like this season all that much. I thought the chrome mechanic was really dumb. I thought the map was really ugly by now, especially. And the Evo Chrome weapons, while I thought they were a really cool idea, you know, the more damage you get on players, the higher rarity it goes. That's a really cool idea, actually. In execution, it just really was not good because the Evo Chrome weapons by themselves were just not good. They just all sucked, in my opinion. And we can't forget that this season held arguably the worst live event in Fortnite history, maybe tied with Prelude, that being Fracture. So yeah, this is going into number 33. Next up, we have Chapter 5 Season 3, and I know a lot of people are waiting for this one because a lot of people hate this season, and so do I. First off, let's get it out the way. The Nitro and the Nitro Fist were unbelievably busted, so was the cars to some extent. I thought the cars after the nerf was kind of manageable, but at the same time, the turret and the grenade launcher were still very annoying. The Mythic car, especially on launch where it could regenerate was so overwhelmingly annoying. It was so just bratty and just not fun to play. And also I just didn't like the new biome at all. I was really happy when we left the season and I don't want to ever go back. Coming in at number 31, we have Chapter 4 Season 3. Now in my opinion, I thought the season was a little bit overhated, but it's still just objectively bad. I'm not even gonna deny that. The meta was all over the place with things like the flapjack rifle and what they did to the MK7. I will never forgive them for that. The wildlife this season was also especially annoying. The jungle was annoying to navigate. Everything about this season just felt kind of annoying. I do think it's a little bit overhated, but I do not ever want to go back to the season. There's just so much wrong with it. The only good thing they added to the season was probably the mammoth pistol, because that's like one of my all-time favorite weapons, and that's literally all I have to say good about it. It's just that one weapon that saved this season so hard. Next up, we have Chapter 1 Season 2, and I'm not going to spend too long in the season because it was still pretty bare bones like its Season 1 did, but it did add a few new things like tilted towers, which in my opinion hard carries this season, and also the additions of the mini shield, the minigun, you know, stuff like that was really crucial for the game's future. And also I thought the battle pass was just kind of Black Knight was literally the only good skin out of that battle pass in my opinion, but overall I do think this is a season that's just okay at best. Next up at 29, we have Chapter 2 Season 5, and I'm not gonna lie, I did not really play too much of this season. I do know that exotics got added and they added like literally every collab in the entire world to this game at this point, but in my opinion the new POIs just weren't really interesting. The new weapons were not good, especially the lever action stuff, like the lever action rifle, the lever action shotgun, both being really terrible. And sand tunneling was disabled for like the entire season, which was a real shame because it was actually a really fun and unique mobility method, but it was just disabled for like the entire season, so I can't really say too much on it. But yeah, just overall not the best season ever. Just it's okay, I guess. Next up at 28, we have Chapter 5 Season 4. This was the second ever Marvel season, and in my opinion I just didn't think it worked as well as it did the first time. The Captain America shield, the jetpack, the auto turret, I thought were all really unfair in just the BR sense, because every single one of them just plagued the loophole for so long, and especially the jetpack is guilty of this, because if you did not have a jetpack during the season, you were going to get absolutely cooked. There was just no way you were going to win. I think the only thing that happened during the season that actually was pretty cool was the Doctor Doom transformation, because that is probably my favorite transformation we've ever had in Fortnite. But my problem with it was, why did it have to be so unbelievably rare, right? I'm pretty sure it was like 5% throughout the entire time it was out, which I have no idea to this day why they made it so unbelievably rare. But yeah, this season was just not for me. Moving on to 27, we have Chapter 2 Season 8. Now, I personally was not that big of a fan of this season. The cube monsters were really not that fun to fight, as they reminded me of the zombies because they were pretty much the same. And also the new sideways weapons were all really weird. Like, I like the gimmick of them, you know, the longer you hold it down the more damage it does, but it just did not feel very good to use. And the Venom and Carnage mythics were just extremely not fun to fight, as they can just go through walls, which in my opinion, items or guns that can go right through walls and damage you is like the most unfun and unfair items that can ever exist, because there's no counterplay to that. You can't really do anything about that. So yeah, this is going into 27. Going on to 26, we have Chapter 5 Season 2. Now the theme was excellent, right? Just Greek gods. I think that's a really cool theme. They could do that again and it would totally work, but man, they just wasted so much potential on this season, man. But we all can't ignore that the launch of the season was absolutely disastrous. Like, it was delayed by like 18 hours, but aside from that, I just thought the season was just painfully mid after the first few weeks. I thought we would get a lot of really cool Greek god mythics, right? Because we got Zeus's lightning bolt, a really fun mythic, and we got the Chain of Hades. But I was really expecting them to make more Greek god mythics, but we only got those two, which really disappointed me. And while I thought the Avatar collab was really cool, you know, the airbending was really fun mobility, them vaulting the entire theme of the season by vaulting the, you know, the Zeus's Thunderbolt and the Chain of Hades, I thought that was a really dumb call. So yeah, this is going in 26. I don't have really much else to say on it. Going into 25, we have Chapter 1 Season 3. Now this one was pretty hard for me to rank because not a lot happened during the season, as I thought the loophole was pretty mixed in my opinion. Like, I I did not like the heavy shotgun at all. I still think it's one of my least favorite shotguns to date, but things like the guided missile and hand cannon did really make up for this season. But overall, it's still pretty bare bones. We don't really get any like major, content spoiling until season 4 of chapter 1. So I'm gonna put it into 25. Next up, we have chapter 5 remix, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but please just hear me out on this. This season honestly felt like just a huge advertisement in my opinion, and I do not like seasons that feel just like a huge blatant ad slapped on a season. I also thought the POIs being centered around the artist was a really weird move. Like I would have much preferred if we just got the agency, the shark, the normal POIs we got, but instead they just were plastered by ads, and I did not really like that. I think the only good things this season is that the gunplay and mythics were relatively decent, and I thought the Juice WRLD segment in the final live event was really awesome. So yeah, this is going into 24. Coming in at number 23, we have chapter 2 season 3. Now I thought the flooding could have been good, if the map changed with it, but it just didn't for some reason. Now the charged shotgun being added in place of the pump shotgun yet again was a really controversial move by Epic, but in my opinion, I didn't think it was that bad. And I also thought the POIs were just not that interesting. In my opinion, I thought the season could have been much better if the flooding actually meant something, because if the flooding, got drained and the POIs drained drastically, then yeah, this season would be probably much higher, but the fact nothing changed just really threw me off on this season. Next up at 22, we have chapter 3 season 3. Now, in my opinion, I think this is like one of the most average seasons to date, because it wasn't bad by any means, it just wasn't good and it was just boring. The new stuff that was added wasn't really that interesting, and the POIs were just pretty mid in my opinion. However, the gunplay, I admit, was pretty mixed. I didn't like the prime shotgun at all, but I really do like the hammer ARs. So this is probably like my most mixed season, because I love some aspects, I hate some aspects, so it's just kind of a mixed bag for me. Next up, we have chapter 1 season 6 at number 21, and I know a lot of people are going to be screaming at the screen at me, just like, how could you put this so low on the list? Please hear me out on this, guys. The zombies were annoying and not fun to fight whatsoever. I think everybody can agree with that. Them knocking out your builds every 2 seconds was not fun in any way. And also the new guns were added were just not really that good, right? We had stuff like the 6-shooter and the Feed Hunter crossbow, which were both so awful that I just cannot even begin to describe it. The Fortnite Mirrors event was also just kind of in my opinion. And also the floating island did look really cool, but it just did not work as a POI in any way in my opinion. I think the only things that redeemed the season and made it so high to begin with is that the quad crasher got added, which was super fun to fly with, and the overall gunplay and map was pretty solid. But I think the most drastic change was the purple and gold pump shotguns being added, because that was super huge for the future of this game, and I think it saved the season in a lot of ways. Coming at number 20, we have chapter 6 season 2. Now in my opinion, I thought the map was actually pretty solid. Almost all of the exotics were super good and fun to use. The black market was a really cool idea, but it was just executed kind of poorly because people would just land on them and get the free mythic. And now onto the bad things. I thought opening the vault took way too long. By the time you got done opening the vault, looting it, and killing all the rats around it, there'd be only like 15 players left in the match, and that's just not fun in my opinion. And the kneecapper is probably the item I hated the most in the entirety of Fortnite's history. I cannot stand this weapon. I do not want to ever face it again. And overall, I thought the meta was just kind of annoying, because the mythics were just so insanely strong, and of course the kneecapper, which I'll bring up a million times, but I'm not going to. But yeah, overall, I think this season just had more bad things than good things. Yeah, the exotics were cool and the map was pretty solid, and the Dilbit system was pretty cool, but man, that kneecapper legit killed the season for me. Like, I died to it so many times. Coming at number 19, we have chapter 6 season 4. Now, I won't sit here and deny that the meta was pretty bad with the Wrecker Revolver, because that thing was just ridiculous. The bug POIs also just really sucked and were just really ugly in my opinion. Like, they were so dead and just unalive, and I get that was the whole theme, but I just don't think it really worked. And also, the launch of the season was also just so insanely unbalanced. You could double pump with the Wrecker Revolver, and I know they got changed, but at the launch of the season, you could double pump with them. And the medallions are probably the most insanely overpowered items weapons we've ever seen in Fortnite history, especially the spring leg and the surge medallion. I also thought the red eye assault rifles coming back really killed a lot of the things I liked about this season, because red eye assault rifles and the third person assault rifles do not mix well in a season. I don't think they should ever coexist. However, I have to give some props to this season because the second half of the season was really good in my opinion. And if it wasn't for that, this season would probably be like in the bottom 7 seasons of all time. It was that bad until the second half. Coming in at number 18, we have Chapter 1 Season 8. And in my opinion, I am really mixed on the new volcano and jungle biomes. And I've never really been a big fan of the jungle biomes to begin with. However, I did think the new weapons felt pretty good, like the infantry rifle and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty good overall. And also the addition of reboot vans and arena mode made the season very good just on their own. I also thought the mobility was also really fun this season with the things like the ballers, the cannons, stuff like that just made the season so much more fun. And overall, I think this is like the point in the list where the seasons aren't really bad at all, right? But I don't really have much to say on the season. I just think it's like good, but that's pretty much all I have to say on it. Coming in number 17, we have Chapter 1 Season 9. Now let's get out the way. Neo Tilted and Mega Mall, I know were really controversial. Most people are 50-50 on it, but in my opinion, I just think they are huge upgrades to their original counterparts. The wind tunnels were great for mobility, but people just abused them, so that was pretty annoying. And also, I thought this season had a really good live event. We also had tons of new items, but most of them just felt kind of weak or cluttered to the loophole. Like we had chug splashes, the proximity grenade launcher, the storm flip, and just stuff like that that really made the loophole just kind of really cluttered and made the loophole feel very underwhelming. Coming in at number 16, we have Chapter 5 Season 1. Now, I'm just gonna get out the way. Bullet Drop was cool and fun for like a week, then I got tired of it. And also, I really hate medallions, and this season they were especially overpowered, as well as the Reaper sniper rifle, because that thing was just way too strong. Like, why would you ever carry an assault rifle when the Reaper sniper rifle was just so insanely strong? Arguably the best sniper rifle in Fortnite history. However, the few things I did like is that the train and most of the POIs felt really well done. And also, I thought the mobility was also pretty solid with the TMNT stuff, and while I didn't really like the grapple blade all that much, it wasn't as bad as people made it out to be. Going on to number 15, we have Chapter 3 Season 2. And in my opinion, I thought this map was really solid. The blimps were really fun to land at and just really fun to fight at. The AUG felt really good, but some of the guns were just kind of annoying, like the drum shotgun. I don't know why they added that. And also, the biggest pro this season was the introduction of the zero build. So that was a huge bonus for this season. If it wasn't for zero build, this would be like 5, maybe 10 places down. And for like the negatives, I feel like the tanks were just a little bit annoying. I didn't think they were like OP, but I just thought they were just really annoying and ratty players would just camp them. Overall, this season was very solid, but definitely overhated to some extent. Coming in number 14, we have Chapter 2 Season 4, and now I know this is a really hot take. A lot of people arguably say this is like the best season of all time, and I would just have to disagree with that. Now let me get out the way. The mythics were really fun to use, right? All of them were unique, and we haven't really seen anything like them before, but they were just way too unbalanced in my opinion. The main ones being the Unibeam, as shooting through builds is just never okay in my opinion, as I said with the Carnage mythics I mentioned earlier. And also, I just never really have liked collab seasons that much, except for maybe one, but this season just felt especially slow for some reason. I just don't really get why people like this season so much. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I don't know. Don't get me wrong though, this is a really good season, especially with the mid-season update that added the Sark POI, because that POI is so fun and felt like a brand new Tilted Towers to some extent. But I just didn't like how it was just a big chunk of rock that was planted in the middle of the map, as it made rotations just really awkward as you would have to go up the zip lines. I did like this season, but it is not top 10 in my opinion. Coming to number 13, we have Chapter 6 Season 1. Now I said it in my previous video, but I do absolutely agree that this is my favorite Season 1 map ever. The map is just absolutely stunning and just so beautiful. There's so much color, so much life to it. The sprites were amazing and just so adorable. They were also really useful to some extent and really balanced. And I know Fortnite has been experimenting with like new movement, but most of it really hasn't landed. But I think the new Mega Sprint Jump is actually a really good new movement option. Not like wall kicks or like hurtling, which they just get in the way in my opinion. I don't really like those. And overall, I thought the loophole meta was just kind of everywhere. Then the Typhoon Blade was the worst part about the season in my opinion. But overall, I didn't think the loophole was like as bad as Season 2, because I thought the Typhoon Blade was kind of less annoying because you couldn't like spam the charge attack. But I won't deny it was a huge problem this season. Overall, it is going into number 13 today. Coming in at number 12, we have Chapter 2 Season 7. Now I think this is possibly the most underrated season of all time. I thought the alien theme was spot on. The mothership minigame was so cool and so fun, and it's just so unique. We've never really seen anything like it before. And also, this was the first season in such a long time that we actually had really fun and goofy items like the inflatable, the propifier, and while they weren't like really useful on their own, they were fun. And you know, I think that's what Fortnite really needs. However, I did think the UFOs were a bit annoying. Not mech level by any means, but they were admittedly pretty annoying. And honestly, the gunplay this season felt pretty solid. While I thought the ray gun was pretty weak overall, I just didn't think it was that useful. But overall, I thought the railgun and the recon scanner were such a fun combo to use. And while it was admittedly pretty broken, it was just so fun to use. And honestly, I just don't really get why people just tend to forget this season even existed, or why people just never acknowledge it. This is a really good season, so that's why I'm putting it at number 12. Going in number 11, we have Chapter 6 Season 3. And in my opinion, I think this is the second best map in Chapter 6. The hero theme was alright. I don't think it was like done like insanely well. However, the biggest pros of the season were the hero rank, chest, and vaults, because those were the best part of the season, and it wasn't even particularly close, as they are one of, if not my favorite mid-match progression systems like just ever made. Like, they were so fun, they were so just well implemented, they were just so good overall. However, the slightest nitpick I have of the season is that the mobility items I'm fairly mixed on. Coming in at number 10, we have Chapter 6 Simpsons Season. Now, I know the season is just a few days old now, probably a week by the time this video gets out, so I won't rank it like too harshly, but I think number 10 is a pretty fair spot for this season, as I really do think that this is probably the best Chapter 6 season without a doubt in my mind. The new map is just so colorful and just so good. Like, it's such a small map, but I think it does its job very well. I also thought the item balance was just unreal this season. Probably the most balanced loot pool we've ever had. There's not been one time this season where I died and I was like, damn, you know, I died because I just didn't have this right gun. But if I go into endgame and I have like a ranger, you know, a thunder or attack, I'm perfectly content with using those weapons. Every single shotgun, every single AR feels super good and super balanced, and I feel like that's like kind of rare for Fortnite seasons, right? I also think the pacing of this season is pretty much just damn near perfect. Also, one thing I noticed this season is that there's not been many AI I've noticed. Like, there's been many real players, which I've been, you know, really content with it, but you know, it is quite sweaty, but I just really haven't noticed many AI, which I'm pretty thankful for. One thing I am really not the biggest fan of though is the lack of mobility, as you really only have these shockwaves and blinky fish, but overall I do think the season's really good. Now obviously this can change as the season progresses, but so far I'm perfectly content with putting this at the number 10 spot. Obviously this can change, obviously this can go higher, this can go lower as time goes on, as we just don't really know, but I think 10 is a pretty fair spot for the season today. Coming at number 9, we have Chapter 3 Season 1. Now I know a lot of people absolutely love this season, and I'm pretty guilty as well. I actually do really like this season. It felt just so fresh. All of the new guns felt really good. The MK7, the Stinger, you know, all of those guns just felt super fresh. And also, I thought Columbo was a really good addition to the game. While I didn't really have much practical use to him, I thought he was just such a really good addition to the life and just overall feel to the season. I also thought the biomes and POIs were all super good in their own way. I did think there was a few POIs I just never landed at, but overall I thought the POIs were just so good, especially with Tilted Towers coming out later this season. It just made the map that much better. Another thing is I thought the mobility was also just unreal this season with the Spider-Man web shooters, which are probably the most fun mobility items ever in my opinion. But we can't ignore the huge elephant in the room, and that was the meta problem. The Stinger SMG and the MK7 were just way too strong. The shotguns felt weirdly weak in the season as well, so the meta is definitely the weakest part of the season, but overall I thought the season was really good. Coming in at number 8, we have Chapter 1 Season 5. Now I know a lot of people who put this in, you know, in their top 5, maybe even top 3, maybe even some people say this is the best season of all time, and honestly I wouldn't even call you crazy for that. This season is really good. This season had one of the best maps of all time in my opinion. The desert biome added so much life to the map, and it was just extremely fun to fight in. Paradise Palms and Lazy Links are some of my all-time favorite POIs, and they were just so fun to fight at. And out of the two, I do actually prefer Lazy Links, but Paradise Palms I would even say is like in competition with Tilted Towers. It was that good. I thought this map was just nearly perfect, and also the new items that were added this season, like the Rifts to Go, were also just extremely fun. But this season did have another huge meta problem, that being the spray meta. It was a problem, we can't deny that, because the normal SMG, the P90, and the drum gun were all in the same loophole all at the same time, all of which were just insanely busted. The P90 especially, as for a period of time it was legit better than assault rifles at range, so that was fun. Now this meta didn't really last all that long, as people don't remember, because the P90 was nerfed pretty hard in my opinion. So it's not like insane, but it did affect the season in some way, which is why I'm not putting it into the top 5. Next up, we have Chapter 4 Season 4 at number 7. Now this is the second season to ever do like the heist theme, right? I would say overall it did the theme better than Chapter 2 Season 2. Sure, Chapter 2 Season 2 is a better season just objectively, but I think this season just did it better. Also, the addition of some really old mythic items and guns coming back were just so good, even though some of them were just really not worth taking. And all 3 new POIs were just amazing on their own. I don't think there's a single bad one here. The only nitpicks I have is that this year's Fortnite was like kind of one of the worst ones that we've ever had. And the Infiltrator shotgun, it was just kind of objectively mid. And also, I have to mention this, the Scoped Burst SMG was just way too strong. Coming in at number 6, we have Chapter 4 Season OG. Now, I was very tempted to put this into the top 5, but honestly, if you were going to put this in the top 3, I wouldn't argue with that. The top 6 and especially the top 5 could honestly go either way, maybe minus the number 1 spot, but it was just extremely hard to rank these, so please excuse me if like you're like, oh, you gotta put this at top 3. I would 100% agree with you. Like, you could put this at top 3 and I wouldn't even like give you a dirty look. Like, I think the season's so good. Every new week we got a brand new season and a brand new batch of weapons and items, and I thought that was just felt so fresh. And honestly, I think this is the most fun and memorable season of all time. Maybe that has a little bit of exaggeration, but I don't think it's that much of an exaggeration. The only thing I actually found bad about the season is that it was only 1 month long, and that's really about it. Other than that, I thought it was just nearly perfect. Coming at number 5, we have Chapter 1 Season 4. Now, this season actually means a lot to me, right? This was the first ever season I ever played, and it was also the first ever season I got my first win in after playing for only a week, which everyone doesn't forget their first win, because nowadays if you get your first win, it's really not all that special, but back then it was kind of an achievement. But sadly, we just don't really get that feeling anymore, which I think is really just unfortunate. And also, we got a lot of new items this season, and most of which I actually like really liked. We got stuff like the hop rocks, jetpacks, the bouncers, the thermal AR, the dual pistols, the drum gun, and the shopping cart, all of which I just really adore and are like fan favorites to this day. I also thought Dusty Divot was an extremely fun POI to fight at. When it grew to treason, I thought it was a little bit weird and it got less fun, but when it was just the huge crater, I thought that was super fun to fight in. And let's just be honest here, it is objectively better than Dusty Depot in like every way, in my opinion. And also, this was the season where we got the Thanos LTM being the first ever collab and mythic item, so that was just insane. I legit don't think there's one bad thing about the season, aside from maybe the Search 7 chests at Risky Reels that gave everyone PTSD, of course. Coming in at number 4, we have Chapter 1 Season 7. I know a lot of people might be surprised, but please hear me out on this. Yes, I know the Infinity Blade existed and that was a problem, but honestly, the 3 days that it was in the game was probably some of the most fun games I've ever had. Yeah, it was overpowered as hell, but having Polar Peak be more contested than Tilted Towers was just so fun. And it only lasted like 3 days, so it really wasn't that big of a deal, at least to me. And I know some people said the planes were a huge con this season, but in my opinion, I really did not have many situations where the plane were really overpowered. Maybe that's just a me thing, but if you had a lot of bad memories with the planes, then yeah, this season would probably be a bit lower. But from my experiences, I really did not have many issues with it. And also, the snow biome out of this season made this map my second favorite map of all time. Every POI in the snow biome was very fun to land out and fight in. And also, this season had the best Winterfest of all time. The vibes will just never be topped. 2018 Christmas will probably go down as probably like one of my most memorable Christmases of all time, mainly because of this season right here. Coming at number 3, we have Chapter 2 Season 2. Now, I know a lot of people might be confused as to why this is not number 1 or at least top 2, and I have a pretty valid reason for that. This season actually had one flaw that actually kind of sucked. This is actually the second longest season of all time, which a lot of people actually tend to forget because I'm pretty sure it got delayed like over a month and a half, so nearly 2 months of the season we had no new content. And that did really suck, right? But overall, this season goes insanely hard. I could totally see why people love this season so much. We had new POIs, bosses, mythics, all of them were excellent. And while the meta was just kind of all over the place, that just made this season so much more fun in my opinion. Even with controller players just absolutely dominating the season, I thought the season was just insanely fun. This is easily top 3. You could honestly put this at top 1 and I wouldn't even argue with you. Coming in at number 2, we have Chapter 4 Season 1. I'm aware that this is a very hot take in a lot of people's eyes, but in my opinion, this is the second greatest season of all time. Honestly, I think this map is on par with Chapter 6 Season 1 for being my favorite Season 1 map. It's pretty much damn near perfect. perfect. And one thing I have to get out the way is that they absolutely cooked with the graphics. They both look insanely stunning and just absolutely gorgeous, as well as just being really vibrant and colorful. And honestly, I think this is the best Fortnite graphics we've ever had. The mobility was also just insanely fun. The shockwave hammer is one of the most fun mobility items ever, and it was actually like really useful too. The POIs were also incredible. We had Anvil Square, the Citadel, Brutal Bastion, all being really good POIs. And also, I will never forget that one castle landmark. I forgot the name of it, and I forgot like the whole overall location and look of it, but I'll put a picture and the name of it on screen right now. This was like my main drop spot this season, and I will never forget it. The augments feature, I think, are tied with the hero rank for being the best mid-match progression of all time, and I think they were handled way better than the medallions, because I just hate medallions and these are just objectively better. The loot pool this season was also just so good. We had stuff like the Thunder Shotgun, the Red Eye, and the Twin Mag SMG, probably being the best AR shotguns SMG meta ever in my opinion. Also during the season, we had the Heist Heat event, which this period of Fortnite is probably some of the most fun I've ever had just over across any video game. The heat level system was so cool, and the heisted exotics that came with this event are probably some of the most fun exotics ever made. So yeah, I do think this is going in the number 2, but I think you probably already figured out what's going in number 1. Coming in at the number 1 spot, the best season of all time in my opinion, it is going to be Chapter 4 Season 2. I know I may seem like a Chapter 4 glazer, and that's because I am. This season, I have so much to say on it, but if you wanted to tell me everything that I loved about this season, this part alone would be like over 20 minutes long. Just an unbelievable map. This is my favorite map of all time. Mega City is such a good POI. I prefer it to Tilted Towers, and I'm not even exaggerating. Kenjutsu Crossing is also a really forgotten POI, and I have no clue why. This POI was like my main drop spot for a while too. The Kinetic Blade is also my personal favorite mobility item ever added, but they also made it so balanced at the same time, which is really awesome because people just couldn't use it to be annoying. And we also later got the ODM gear, a really another awesome mobility item, and the web shooters came back. Like, oh my god, this season when it came to mobility, there was just no other season that could even come close to it, and I don't think there ever will be, honestly. Also, the Loot Island and Loot Caches also got added in the season, which just added so much more mid-match progression combined with the augments, and I loved both of these features as well. And the new mythics were just unreal as well. You had the enhanced Havoc pump that is comparable to the original pump shotgun, the overclocked pulse rifle, which is like one of, if not the strongest guns ever added. The overall loot pool was somehow even better than last season. We still had the Red Eye, of course, but the Havoc shotgun, which is actually like the first ever shotgun added, and the only one probably ever that I actually like more than the original pump shotgun, a thing that I didn't even know was possible. We also got the new lightsabers with the force pull and the force push, and even stuff like the lock-on pistol I am actually a big fan of. Not to mention the heisted exotics also got involved for a good chunk of the season, which just added to the insanely chaotic nature that was the season. So yes, Chapter 4 Season 2 is my favorite season of all time, and I don't think it will ever be topped. And that is my ranking for every single season in Fortnite history. This video took so long to make, so if you enjoyed, hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Love you guys.